I'm Tabitha Rock.
And I'm Sam Davenport.
Born and bred in Melbourne, we live and breathe property, and we know the Melbourne market like the back of our hand. We've both been buying and selling real estate in Metro Melbourne for over 2 decades combined, and we've learned a few lessons along the way. Season 5.
Property Culture Podcast.
Property Culture Podcast. So we're back in our fancy little sitting room.
I know. We got this for a discount over the Christmas period, people. So
Yeah.
we will be going back to your known and loved studio number 2.
Maybe not. I'm quite enjoying this setup.
I like having a table.
Oh, right, to lean on.
To put my computer up on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
know.
kind of liking this. I like a bit of fern action. For those of you who were in your ears, you can head to YouTube to see the video. It's kind of funky new space. This is a studio. This is studio?
This is our studio.
Our studio
We
in
love it
Paran.
here. Shout out.
Shout out. They're bloody our little homies and they're legends and they make us sound fantastic.
I know.
Very professional.
Mhm.
But we're excited to bring you season 5. We've got some great guests this season. Actually, quite a lot of our episodes, I think, will be guests. From accountants to builders to past clients, just, trying to mix it up, and a bit of feedback from the last few seasons where they loved the chat with Steve Rose Architects. If you missed that, go back and listen to it.
And the building inspector.
Yeah.
8-point inspections.
I know. Maybe should we get offended that they just don't like listening to our beautiful voices?
I mean, I don't know, but I can imagine you'd want to mix it up. If you were really listening to the whole thing with us, you would be done just listening to me and you the whole time, surely. And most podcasts have a revolving door of guests. That's the standard.
They do, but I think they get the guests in that have a profile themselves to leverage their network.
Off.
Yeah, for the
true.
marketing point. We just get the downright legends that know their shit and that we want to talk to and have a lol with.
Have a D&M with too.
Absolutely.
Love an old D&M.
Oh, you do get a couple of drinks into ya and you'll be chewing
Asking about your childhood trauma.
Oh my God, that's a whole nother podcast.
That's what I do. So be careful if you're anywhere near me on a Friday night, kids.
Friday night, you mean Saturday night? We do
Saturday
not do
night.
anything on Fridays. We're tucked up in bed by 8 o'clock, ready for a big Saturday.
I know. And then by Saturday night, I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone else. I've just spoken to 150 people.
Oh, me too. And then I get like itchy feet on a Sunday. And then Monday, I'm like, damn it, why did I have itchy feet on a Sunday? It's because, Saturday wasn't our Saturday because we worked.
I know.
So Sunday's our Saturday.
Well, I know, but then also Sunday's God's day of rest.
It is. It's market day. It's gym day.
Yeah.
And, 2025.
It's reset your house day.
Oh, it's meal prep day.
Cook some random ingredients, put them in the fridge, you'll set for the week.
Absolutely not. I have recipes and I have a very curated list of what I'm doing, or else I
love it.
Just cooking absolute garbage. But the chicken and leek pie's on high rotation in my house at the moment.
Yeah, did you end up making them?
Oh, I did.
Oh, good girl. What,
Yeah.
yesterday in the end?
Yeah.
Last night?
Last night, got home from gym quite late, went to Sweatshop. If anyone's in Melbourne and they need a gym where you see a lot of hot men, that's first and foremost, but you'll get a darn good workout, head to Sweatshop in Armidale. Fantastic. I think they're
Nice.
also in Collingwood now and in Geelong, so you actually don't need to
Well,
be.
I told you about how it's Strong Pilates, that ex-AFL footballer was there
the
next
guy,
to me.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. He was like 7 foot tall, and I knew he must have been something because that's unusual.
Height.
Yeah,
if
unusual
you're 7
and
foot
build
and you're
and
not.
like everything. Like he was obviously clearly an athlete
Yeah.
of some sorts. Can't think of his name now. People knew him as soon as I said, and I do recognise his face. Anyway, he was next to me, sweating it up. Very difficult, strong Pilates.
Well, and I do think Pilates is good for the boys.
Yeah, but they do it's sort of Pilates, weight training and rowing.
That's good
It's a
though.
mix.
At least they get a bit of a stretch in there. Because some of the Pilates moves, you need flexibility and
Their hips are all tight.
Oh, toit. I mean, my bloody hips are a bit tight. But anyway.
Do we need to go some of that?
This is fantastic. This is what the people are here for.
So What we want to talk about today is all around the types of clients that we work with, who uses a buyer's advocate. I think a lot of people sort of perceive it to be something that's perhaps out of reach, depending on their budget that they're looking to purchase with, or maybe they just don't understand why people would use one. But that's what we're going to cover off on today is who uses buyer's advocate and why.
Yeah. And what's the key takeaways for them that we see? What's the feedback after the process? I mean, obviously, and I think this is going to be fun, having a chat with a past client to get it out of the mouth of the person.
Get it from the horse's mouth.
Horse's mouth. That's the one. But yeah, like there's so many different profiles of people we work with, from first home buyers to expats
and luxury buyers,
as seen on Listing Melbourne. It has historically been you just buy your own real estate. Like if you chat to your parents and you tell them that you're potentially speaking to a buyer's advocate, they're like, a buyer's what? They just don't really understand the concept. It wasn't around in their time. And so they just probably don't understand it. But if you put it into context and say, well, do you have an accountant? Do you have a financial planner? Do you get professional advice? Yes, yes, and yes. Well, then why wouldn't we seek professional advice from buying one of our biggest assets in life? And I think we're just now a generation of outsourcers. So if you're not outsourcing the process, what are you doing to people that can do it a whole lot better than you? You're an expert in your field. You're a lawyer, a hairdresser, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Since that was even a true statement, or a true concept of just buying your own property, and that was the Australian dream and that's what people did. That's 40 years ago, 50 years ago. A lot of poorly built property been put up in that time, and property values have gone up a lot in that time. So the risk is so much higher than it ever was before. Like they were buying in their backyard, round the corner from their parents' home, round the corner from where they've always lived, in a house that was probably, already 50 years old, structural issues you would have known about or seen occur. But since then, we've now got high density developments happening or have been happening for many, many years, all of these different property types that are available, but the value is so high. So, one of our first clients that we really first started angling towards and working with when we started the business was the old first-time buyer.
And I was really passionate about this because I bought a place for myself when I was like 22 years old, bought a stone's throw from my family home, didn't really know what I was doing, and just sort of found this one, felt comfortable, put in an offer and ripped the Band-Aid off. My parents had bought a couple of properties. They didn't help me with this one or anything like that, but they probably gave me a bit of a helpful sounding board, but just no real guidance because I should have considered buying a freestanding house a few suburbs out, and it would have done a lot better for me financially. And so that's why I'm really passionate about first home buyers taking control of this and making educated and informed decisions and really thinking about the long term, because this won't be your last property. Like a lot of times you need to make money on that first purchase to leverage to get to the next. And in fact, I just had a conversation with first home buyers the other day, and they've got 600,000, 700,000. It's a young couple. They've been trying to do it themselves for 6 months. They're getting completely overwhelmed with it. They're scared they're going to make the wrong decision. And I just said, for the 15 grand odd investment into a service like ours, this is an investment. You should get return on investment. We are going to make you 50 grand minimum on that investment, whether it's right now in the immediate negotiation, but 9 times out of 10, it's really when they sell. Like when you sell, you're going to realize so much more money than those people that have bought by themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the difference between professional help. I mean, we're getting on an accountant this season, and that's exactly what he's going to be saying. Like, we are the difference between, making good decisions
and bad. Yeah, exactly right. And that's the thing, like first-time buyers, you've got them, they're new to the market. They don't really understand the industry. They don't have any experience in negotiations, particularly obviously pertaining to property, and they have just a general lack of understanding of the process. So some of the reasons why they would ever choose to use an advocate and why they should use an advocate is for guidance through the process in general. So from start to finish, obviously starting from, and we've talked about this so often, but starting from the first point of call of working out your brief, setting your scope, what is your plan of attack, where are you buying and why? What do you need to buy and why? And does that is that going to accommodate you in the future, now, in 5 years' time, in 7 years' time? How long are you planning to own it? We guide them through the process, asking really key questions on exactly what they should be thinking about, slowly, carefully, gently, without overwhelming them. We sort of sit them down. We let them know that they're in our very capable hands, and we sort of help them understand exactly what they're looking for and why.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's so much information and education out there, and we've got a first home buyers course, there's lots out there, there's great podcasts to listen to, including this one, about sort of working out those steps and thinking long term and things. Where I think the most value for first home buyers is just making solid decisions when you're during the process. So understanding the value of real estate, understanding what's A grade real estate versus D grade real estate, understanding why that's valuable, and just pulling the trigger. And I said to the clients the other day, when we get to the pointy end of the decision making, it all bubbles to the surface. It's going to be a really calm, calculated, informed process. And it all just feels really calm and natural. Obviously.
Until it comes time to submit offers and buy, and that's when it all bubbles over.
The feelings, but we identify that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's helpful for buyers.
Yeah.
We say, we've got documents from the start of the process, during the process, that says you're going to feel X. This is very normal.
But this is the point of having an advocate, is that you can be a spinning top over here. You might be losing your shit, but I'm not. I'm fine. I know exactly what we're looking for and why. I know exactly what we're prepared to pay and what the property's worth. I know exactly what the pitfalls are of that property, if there are any, and how much it's going to cost to rectify them. I know how much we're prepared to pay, including those things that we may need to be doing before we move in, or perhaps we can do them next year. We know what we're talking about. We know what our competition's going to be. We know where everything is sitting. So you can, as a first-time buyer who's not quite understanding the process, or perhaps feeling overwhelmed with the process, can sit back and know that it's being handled and controlled by a professional. And I think first-time buyers, all of our clients see huge value in using us, but first-time buyers are always just like, oh my gosh,
blown away.
Thank God.
They refer all their friends, and I think when their friends call up, they are probably a little bit potentially surprised by the cost of our fee, because it is an upfront service cost. But mate, our invoice at the end of the process gets paid within 24 hours.
Always.
They are just, and I buy in the north for so many first home buyers, and they probably would never not use an advocate again. Us. Would never not use us again.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say
it's
that. Then we taught them so much that they won't need to.
I think a lot of the people are at the start of their career journeys, and so they'll probably have a lot more money down the track, and they'll be prepared to.
And look, that first home buyer who purchases with an advocate and does really well on their property is likely going to turn into our next group of buyers that we love to work with and who love to work with advocates, which are investors who are looking for that growth, capital growth, or passive income. So if that first-time buyer does well enough in their first-time property purchase, they could be in a position where they're buying their next property or second property. Or obviously we do get a lot of investors who are looking to work with us from that investment strategy perspective. Capital growth as the forefront, passive income as the forefront, sitting down and working out exactly how we're going to manage that on their behalf. That's certainly sort of the next. At the moment, we're not seeing a lot of investors purchasing into the Victorian property market for reasons we've talked about 1,000 times over. But certainly that is another big group of buyers that we work with.
But when we talk to investors that already have property in Melbourne, we do try and get them to diversify by location or by property type or even commercial versus residential. So, yeah, but as Sam said, not a lot of investors in this market, but we can sort of manage the uh, identification of a good property manager, which is very important when you've got an investment property.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, like managing the portfolio strategy, obviously the research and market analysis is really what they're looking for when it comes down to working out the details of the numbers, and access to off markets, which is what all of our clients are looking for. But investors are certainly looking for a deal or something that's sort of going to financially make sense immediately rather than perhaps, a longer, slower burn.
Well, I just love chatting to investors and saying to them, look, you should buy a property that has option 1, 2, and 3. So maybe option 1, subdivision, option 2, renovate the home, option 3, knock down, rebuild, option 4, like all these different options. So you're not just pigeonholed when you're buying the property to, I can only just sit back and wait for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, exactly right.
But yeah, we're not investment specialists. But if you do want to buy in Metro Melbourne, great investment property, definitely give us a call. But I think one of our main clients that we tend to work with is that young professional couple or young professional single
family.
Yeah. And gosh, so many reasons why they're giving us a call. Typically, it's a referral from their other professional partners, like their fin planner, like their accountant, like their mortgage broker. Like they know to work with the right people.
Yeah.
And we just fall into that mix. They're working with a great solicitor, whatever it may be. They know the value of professional advice. They're at school sports on a Saturday. They don't have the time.
Yeah.
And also, I think that sector of the market really get confused by the ugly kitchen, like really turned off a property, and we can help them see past that, because by seeing past an ugly kitchen or a slightly strange floor plan that can be easily tweaked, you're opening up your options. So we're not often saying renovate the kitchen just to have your own taste in that property. We're often saying it because if you are open to that sort of thing, it will open up your options.
Right. But it's so interesting with this group of people. Like they are generally very highly educated. They usually have super high paying jobs, double income with kids, not dinks, double income with kids. So their schedule is that they're running from home to drop off, to the office, back to pick up, back home, feed, kids, to bed. Now they're stuck at home. Their Saturdays are filled with play dates and school sports and all of these different things that are having to be managed by this age group of people. They just don't have the time. They don't have the time to manage it themselves. They don't have the time to go and look at a 4:45 p.m. on a Wednesday inspection, 7 suburbs out from where they're currently living. So from a time poor perspective, that is one of their huge driving forces for having us involved. But another reason why they love working with us is they're living a stressful life. Like I would argue that time in life is possibly some of the most stressful times. There's a lot coming at you. There's many balls in the air. You're juggling everything and you just feel like you can't drop it. And by adding something like a move, the move is stressful, but the purchase and the sell, or the sell and the purchase, or the just purchase or the just sell, managing that as well, it can be the thing that sort of blows the lid off things. So to have an advocate involved, to have a professional managing the process, just really streamlining it, taking the stress out of it a little bit, and just being basically the manager of your move.
Yeah. And I think this area of the market really struggle for options. What I find, they're like, I've been looking for 6, 12 months, 18 months. I just cannot find what we're looking for. It needs to have this. It needs to be in this school zone. It needs to have room for a pool.
Yes.
And they're just not getting the options. And I think this is a section of the market, 1.5 to maybe 3.5 mil, that we do get a lot of good off-market options for clients, because we've got really tangible examples of properties that, are exactly what they like, but might have sold maybe 12 months ago.
Yes.
And that's, I reckon I bought 1 in 4 off market for that section of the market in recent times.
Yeah.
Maybe even 2 in 4. Like
Yeah.
it's up there because I don't know, agents are like willing to door knock. Agents are willing to really hustle for that stock.
But it's also that the owner of that property that those buyers are looking to generally upsize into are usually buyers who are looking to downsize out of it. So they can often be the type of buyer who is more inclined to take a stress-free sale by getting just one buyer through with an advocate, and who is so pre-qualified, by the way. You know, if you're just a regular buyer, and I was just about to say this group of buyers, they don't even have time to inspect on-market property, let alone call and chase agents for off-market. So they're just not accessing that section of the market at
No,
all.
they barely return agents' phone calls, and then the agent puts it down to another tire kicker.
Oh, and then they go and then they look, oh, I loved that property I saw last week. In fact, honey, that was 3 weeks ago and it's been sold. You know, they're just sort of not quite focused on it, which is totally normal and exactly why I think that they're just we're a match made in heaven. Because there's also the factor of, you know, as I say, they're usually highly educated, high income earners, and they really they trust themselves to make the right decisions in appointing a professional to manage this on their behalf. So when it comes down to things like negotiations and stuff like that, they don't need to be so they're not micromanaging us.
Yes.
They leave it with us.
Oh.
They know that we're going to do what we can to get them the best possible price for the best possible property, and they sort of just trust the process.
Yeah.
So much more than some of the other sectors do,
Yeah.
which is a joy to work with.
Pure joy. And also,
you can do your best work when I don't have any reins
someone
on me.
breathing down your neck. It's the worst. Don't work with us if you like that, because you're just going to not get the best out of us.
We're more focused on pacifying your concerns than we are on getting the best deal.
For you, yeah. Next up, relocators and expats is another. And actually, I ran into one of our past clients who I definitely want on the podcast. He's an American bloody funny guy who we bought for recently. And we'll get him on as a past client just to talk through the process, because I also think it's interesting to hear what the Americans do, because it's just so different. But auctions. Hello, what the hell is an auction? Like even people from Adelaide, Sydney, they're coming down here
England.
being like, absolutely
England's no
not.
idea, yeah.
We're not participating in auctions. What, you want us to buy and not even know if we've got our finance sorted? Absolutely not. Like, what, contract reviews and building inspections before I even know that I've bought the property? Absolutely not. They just don't get it. And also they just have no idea pricing.
Yeah.
And we haven't really touched on that, but we've got a really specific way in which we price and do pricing analysis of properties that our clients are interested in. And it gives them a really good scale. I mean, coupled with that, obviously, is the intel that we get from the agents around competition, if there is any, if it's not off market. But
it can be also like it's pricing knowledge, but also general local knowledge. So say, for example, like an expat I worked with last year, they told me like what they wanted the property to look like in like this dream scenario, what they wanted to be near the beach, they wanted this, that, the other. And so then I was able to pinpoint that Brighton was the right area for them to be buying what they were looking to buy, which was a lock up and leave, whatever. And so it's understanding, you know, if they're looking at the property from America or from New Zealand or from England and they don't know the streets, they don't know the areas, they just can have a tendency to waste a lot of time on property that's not suitable. So for us, obviously being on the ground, we're physically inspecting property, we're sending video walkthroughs of each one. And then if they're close enough to us, then perhaps they're flying over to inspect the cream of the crop. You know, so we're just streamlining the process. We're getting them into a position where they're ready to purchase the right property a lot sooner than they would if they're doing it on their own. And we're just minimizing a lot of that time that can be spent.
Yeah. I mean, we tend to find that we don't work with so many expats and relocators. I think just because, you know, maybe if they do a Google, which is how everyone finds each other, you know, we're not paying $1 million for those Google being up there, but we have dealt with quite a few in the past, referred to us by great mortgage brokers coming over from Perth. And I mean, you just can't buy real estate through your family and friends, like as they often do. Oh no, I've sent like a friend of mine to bid at that auction. Like what? Or how did they do the walkthrough? Did you get a building inspection? Like how are you managing all this correctly? It's so stressful.
My mum looked at 2 for me. Oh, well, that's good. We're probably going to have to look at about 10 in the next 2 weeks. Is she available for all of those?
Yeah.
Oh, which ones? I don't know. You know, obviously we're just managing that process in its entirety. But yeah, they are someone who love to use an advocate. We can understand clearly why they have needs in having someone manage the process
on
for
the
them.
ground.
Yeah.
Now, the next segment of our clients, of the clients that love to work with us, which is a segment that you love, are the downsizers.
Love a good downsizer. My God.
Remember, we've coined it right sizing.
We did. It hasn't stuck.
It hasn't
with me.
stuck at all.
Yeah.
But
no.
downsizing sounds like a downgrade. That's why I don't like it.
But I think of downsizers as being in the best financial position of all the people.
Oh, yeah.
So that I think that, when I'm a downsizer, I'll be like, I've made it. I'm a downsizer.
Oh my God. I don't know about that. I can't get around that, but I love that mindset.
Same with empty nester has got a negative connotation, but you know, what a beautiful time of life. You've done your due diligence, not your due diligence. You've done your dues. You've paid your dues. You've raised your kids. Off they go, flying out into the world. Obviously, we're generally referring to older individuals in this bracket and couples who are looking to sell their property, perhaps buy something new to move into that's a lot more manageable, size-wise, maintenance-wise.
No gardens.
They might have a second property that is, a country abode or a seaside retreat or something along those lines, that they're sort of managing that, so they need something smaller here. We don't know. There's many options. That's what we love about them. There's so much flexibility and I just think they're the best to work with. I mean, I love them all, but, they're exciting for me to work with.
And they're typically great because they do have the cash to afford a service like ours, but they're also kind of a bit reluctant to use a service like ours because it is such a new concept. But I think a lot of times their kids are sort of talking them into it because the kids are getting, flicked links, or the kids are flicking the links onto their parents of these new properties, and they're just sort of sitting there not making any moves and having a bit of that paralysis, and then going to the one inspection and getting harassed by the agent because they've got something in the local area to sell.
Right.
So the downsizer never speaks to a real estate. Well, none of our clients speak to real estate agents when they're on board with us, but the downsizer always just gives our name at inspections. If they, I think that's such a massive win for clients. Like they never receive another call.
But it is interesting as well and this is generally, oftentimes, not always, oftentimes, these people are in a position where perhaps they haven't transacted real estate for a good couple of decades.
Oh, yeah.
So what their understanding was of the process, the market, the style in which the transaction is done is just so bloody different now. And so they don't know who to trust and who to lean on and who to talk to. And, literally it wasn't that long ago that selling agents, you would meet them at their office on a Saturday morning and they would drive you as a buyer.
It wasn't that long ago, mate.
No.
It was 15 years ago. No, 20 years ago.
Yeah, 20. That's not that long ago, is it? 20 years ago is
that's almost in when we were born.
In the 90s. But I think the 90s is bloody yesterday, isn't it?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Anyway, the point is that in terms of these people who maybe haven't transacted for a few decades, they may have been the types of people who were being driven around by a sales agent to look at all the properties in the area. It is not like that anymore. It is sink or swim. It is absolute Barracuda City. You've got to be careful. And they're the types of people who –
deer in the headlights.
A little bit. And they can be very trusting, which I love that, but just trust us.
Yeah.
We will guide you through the process. Anyway, downsizers, they love it.
Love it. And the last category
the
of
funnest
buyers,
of the lot.
Is it the funnest?
I don't know.
I think we've got different opinions on this one, which I can't wait for the F, Marry, Kill section. Is luxury buyers. So we're talking sort of, I would consider luxury like in excess of 4 mil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say like in excess of 6, but if 4 is like standard family home now.
I know, but you can get a lot of luxury for 4, maybe 5.
Yeah.
Okay, 5.
Yeah.
It depends where we're buying.
Depends where we are.
They are, they can actually be, upsizers, high net worth individuals, but they've got really good taste. They know exactly what they want.
Very decisive, I find.
Super decisive.
Yeah.
But they just, again, do not have the options, do not have the time,
But
do
they
not want to do it.
They also don't want to schlep. They're not schlepping. They want a tailored, exclusive experience. Right this way, sir.
Yeah.
Right this way, ma'am. I have 3 properties prepared for you, 15 minutes, one after the other. Off we go. Da, 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 da. You know, like they want usually they're very high up in whatever it is they do. So they're usually very, you know, fast thinkers. And so you've got to keep up. Yeah. But they're looking for like high-end service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, a friend of mine has like a luxury travel business where he gets like Americans, English people, they come down to Melbourne. He like gets them the best bookings, the best boats, the best cars. Maybe we need to have like this super bougie service where, you know, buyer rolls through the business and they're just in our car 1 week, 1 day, 1 hour. And we're looking at a couple of amazing properties.
Yeah. Yep.
But I mean, it's not that sort of service just yet, but it's incredible. We've so many off markets float around at that price bracket, sort of always lingering in the background. And it's the unexpected agents that have them.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people miss on the off markets. Like there's so many tips on TikTok and stuff like that on how to get off market properties. Yeah, cool. But we know the agents that love to sell off markets. They love the quick deals. They've got the strange vendors that are sitting pretty happy to sell off market and not have, you know, all the neighbours come through their property. And that's where, we sort of really make the difference. Because I think luxury buyers like, oh, what? I overpay 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand.
Right.
Not too fast. Like they don't necessarily need the pricing analysis. Some of them do.
It's more about like the discretion, the exclusivity.
Privacy.
Yeah, exactly. And that personalised service.
100%. Yeah, we love working with them. We're getting a lot more of those come through, which is very fun. But to be honest, I love them all. I don't love investors all that much, but
but I love an investor who goes, you just tell me which one and let's do it.
Yeah, true. But I even love a relocator expat because I love Melbourne so much that I want to take you around.
So true. We love them all.
We love them all.
F, marry, kill.
Tell it to me. Types. Okay.
First time buyers, investors, or luxury buyers.
Oh.
We've just bloody done this.
Have we?
Well, just right now.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, I'm definitely killing off the investors. Oh, God. I think I might marry luxury buyers.
100%.
I was going to marry first-time buyers.
You can't marry a first-time buyer.
No.
Riddled with anxiety, those people.
Yeah, true. I mean, more money, more problems though. No, not always.
Not always.
Probably not ever. No, I'm joking. So I'm marrying luxury buyers and I'm effing first-time buyers.
Amen, sister. I'm with you.
Perfect.
I'm with you there.
Well, we're excited to be back for another season. Lots in store. Tell us what you want to hear. Slide into our DMs, send us an email, hello@propculture.com.au. Let's know what you want to hear about on the podcast. Obviously, if you want real estate help in 2025, give us a call. Complimentary, of course. We'll take you out for coffee. We'll shout you a latte, hot chocolate, whatever floats your boat. And let's, have a chat, see how we can help.